microphone, but it looks like it's a little more complicated with the new iPhone lightning jack subversive psychopathic nonsense. Apple, anyway. So the microphone, I'm sure, is fine. I wouldn't know. I could have opened up my laptop to test it, but I was so dog tired last night. I just pretty much went to bed. Except for Semper Bear. I got caught up watching him. I just remembered who he reminds me of. It's nobody you know, so don't worry about it. It must be a personality type thing. Maybe he's INSP. I'm just guessing. I don't know. I'm not even guessing with... Anyway, it doesn't matter. These little things that I keep on getting in my mouth, they're hop leaves from my kombucha with hops. I just, put it in there and let the flavor soak. What I'm wondering is, should I do the hops in a different way? Should I put the hops as I'm making the tea? Will more of the hop flavor come out? Or should you... I don't know. I don't know much about the hops. They're like, oh, are you going to dry hop it? I'm like, okay. So, I'm lazy, and I just stuck the hops right in the bottle as I poured the kombucha in and just let it do its thing. And though it has the flavor I like, I have a feeling it could be stronger. Not based on quantity, but on extraction. So part of the problem I'm in right now is I need to reduce how much I'm brewing, because I'm over brewing, which is disappointing. It's sad to have to dump it out or whatever, because we just can't consume that much. I don't think our family could. I can consume half a gallon a week, but for some reason the 4 other people in my family can't consume half a gallon a week. It's a little too much to ask. Good morning, number 1, whomever you may be. The same one possibly that is almost always here, just lurking. You're a lurk until you identify yourself. And if you absolutely never identify yourself, ever, you're no longer a lurker. I think that translates over into the creep land. How dare you call me a creep? I mean, come on now. Think about it. What would you think? He called me a name. I'm out of here. He thinks I'm gonna leave. I'm never gonna leave. I'm just gonna stay here just to spite him. Can take it any way, right? Okay. So I'm in the process of eliminating processed foods that have sugar from my life. And then I'll work on eliminating all processed foods eventually. So I've got to think of good room temperature, storable things that will have protein and fat and fiber a little bit, I guess. But protein and fat. With whether or not it's roasted. I think that makes a big difference. So, this just occurred to me. Good morning. Good morning, Larry. Now listen, folks. I'll let Larry explain in the chat, because I don't want to say any details that he's not willing to publicize. But pray for Larry King for good reasons. It's a great thing. But just pray for him and protection and safety and for the work and move of God in and through him. And that's all I'll say. Man. A hop leaf in every stand here. I was about to give you money that I don't even have to give. But seriously, it would be very surprising if you knew that quote. You'd have to pretty much be the same age as me and have had a similar experience. Anyway, some of you know what salad fingers is, but it wasn't salad fingers. It was Dan Loki, whatever the dude's name was. And one of the other videos that he made, the dude was twisted. I'm telling you what, that guy was twisted. Some weird stuff coming out in the 2000s. The internet was, I mean, it still is. It's so saturated. That's what I was recognizing about looking at my old YouTube channel, looking at my old YouTube videos. You know, the reason I had 20,000 views in the last 12 years is not because of 12 years. Almost all of those views happened more than 10 years ago. And by the way, YouTube is telling me that only 0 people are here right now, and I just saw that message long after it said 0. So the timing of that number must be way off, or I don't know. Always lying. So, what was I saying? I think all I was basically saying was there's been a drastic change in the concentration of content creators and viewers. So back when YouTube was new, if you made a being seen, that's just how it was. But now, if you make a video, your video can sit on YouTube public for 5 years with 0 video or 0 views. Just by nature of volume. There's so much volume. You know, there was this dude that was, I told you about him before, The only reason I could have possibly known about this guy is because he would have watched Owen. And, but I would get these notifications that he was streaming, and I'd click on it, and it'd be him streaming, streaming his living room or dining room or something, and just a curtain, sun coming through the curtain, just there. And then every now and then he'd poke in and just like be working at his laptop. So anyway, if that's that one guy that's streaming like 8 to 15 hours a day, just pure nonsense, no words at all except when it's and stuff, but he would also feed himself, so it wasn't because he had some type of like actual problem. It was just he didn't want to get his hands dirty, is what he said that day. Obviously, I watched way more than the average person would have because I was curious. But if that's that one guy, I think his name was Taylor Foreman. Not very Asian sounding. He had like definitely Asian. Like, anyway, we'll move on. Not even any meaning to it. And then even way more, obviously, that are trying to put out content that has meaning. Trying. So, the fact that this is at 10,000 views, my 10,000 views, yeah, I put one or two, but mostly 07. But that channel having 20,000, that's, it's kind of funny. But like I said, those views happened early, not like just over time. So it's just fascinating. Just like it's fascinating that people like to speed. Alright, so I'm looking into alternative living situations still. It's not a topic I've brought up recently because, been busy, focused on just trying to get work in, so on. But they're raising the rent on us from $900 to $950, and some people are like, "Oh my gosh, that's a deal." Not when you're making $14 an hour and commuting 300 miles a week. Which, if you do the math on the vehicle that I'm driving, that means I'm technically making about $12.60 an hour. $12.75 on a good week, on a fresh oil change and all that. About $12.75 an hour because of what it's costing me each day in gas and all that. I've done the math. So can you support your family on $12 an hour? That's what I'm saying. Family of 5, You get it? So we are looking at all different options. Thought about it, and I'm still obviously trying to improve the work situation, but I've been talking about that for months, since February. Been applying. I've applied to 21 different positions at the company that I work for. And now I'm applying to positions elsewhere. But I don't know. It's all in God's hands. That's kind of the point. But we're looking into good morning, boy. We're looking into different places that will be much, much cheaper, possibly much smaller, and possibly more off the beaten track. That's all fine. Trying to get these hop leaves out of my way. I heard that hops are poisonous to dogs. That was kind of weird. Not weird. Not that it matters to me, but I just thought stuff like that's weird. Stuff like that is weird. What was I saying? So we're starting July. They're asking for $950. And $900 was bad enough. They're raising it up. So we're looking in the $600 and $700 range. Because if we're gonna move, it's got to be something. It's got to be something worth moving. Got to be something worth moving. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're looking at. Would still probably do the camper thing. We set it on the back burner. We didn't dismiss the idea entirely. It's just after looking at some of the used campers, it became apparent that that was a pretty tough transition. We knew that, but you know, it becomes more real when you're like ready to buy something. I'm being mesmerized right now. By the way, mesmer, there's an interesting story behind that word, mesmer. You gotta look that up. Dr. Mesmer. I would say, but I just know it's an interesting story. I actually don't remember all the details, and I don't want to get it wrong on what I think it is, so I'll just say, hey, look that up. It's really a weird, cool story. Mesmerized. Can you, I mean, an entire word after your name, that's pretty cool. That is cool. So the microphone situation, apparently the splitter that I purchased did not have TRRS, CTIA, AHJ compatibility. I did a lot of research last night, and by a lot of research I mean like an hour. It's a lot. It's a lot for me. An hour of my time. And I learned about it. Oh, that's a jet ski. That's what that has to be. So it appears that Belkin makes an appropriate splitter. And I'll have it by Sunday, so starting next week, we'll try the microphone thing out next week. Yeah, you're not the first to mention the owner-financed house. Hypothetically, there is one of those 1,050 miles away from where we live, where we have received an opportunity. But I can't commute to my current job 2,000 miles a day because I'm not Creflo Dollar. I imagine even if you had a private jet, a 2,000 mile daily commute would be completely insane. Even if you had a private jet, can you imagine the cost on that? Obviously, I'm being ridiculous in regards to commuting. I'd have to get a new job, which really wouldn't be all that big of a deal, except, excuse me, it's kind of a nerve-wracking and big deal when you think about moving 1,000 miles. But you know, not out of the question, obviously, considering all options at this point. So if we can find something that makes it possible to survive here, then we'll probably do that. But if I was offered a job at or near the other location, then we're not loyal to anything, like as far as location goes and all that. People around here, it just is what it is. We'll just go. We'll just go. It's not just that's not a complete thought or idea. Let me rephrase that a little bit. We have moved for the purpose of providing for the family, being able to make it. So we'll move if our situation isn't working and we think that the future situation will be a little bit better. So there's been some of that. Most of the moves that we have made have been look at what we will be able to accomplish towards our ultimate goals by doing this, and that has been the main theme of our moves in the past. So I didn't realize you used to have a different account name, Whistleboy. Whistleboy makes me think that you're like between 14 and 20 years old, and all that. But you're obviously a whole lot more mature and skillful, especially than a 14-year-old, but maybe even than a 20-year-old. I assume you're young. I think we've talked about this before. But anyway, I can't read that last you can ask any fatso? I can't read that word. It looks like it says fatso. You can ask any fatso for owner finance. And if that's what you said, that's kind of funny. I'm laughing a little bit inside my brain. I do that sometimes. Yeah. Kombucha, being on the vinegar side of things, causes phlegm a little bit. Probably because your body is trying to protect you from the acid. But it's all good. It's all good. Oh, 27. Yeah, I got you. Well, that's at the edge of a generational understanding. A 7-year gap means that you understand where I'm coming from, but you also understand all the Generation Z stuff too. So that's the thing about transitional generations. It's interesting. I just realized that 7 years the other direction is 41. 41. I don't know many 41-year-olds. They're all buried in work for the most part. And you can't always spot the age. In the Army and thought about joining again. That sounds extremely familiar. I do remember that happening. Gotcha. Well, that's cool. FSBO. Oh, for sale by owner. Fatso is funnier, you know? Now I'm disappointed. Now I'm a little disappointed that you didn't say Fatso. You can ask any Fatso for owner finance. I mean, come on. Just look for somebody, look at their fatness, and the more fat, the more likely they're going to be willing to do an owner finance situation, okay? Just look for the Fatsos. I mean, it's not that hard. For sale by owner. Yeah. Okay. I got you. Fatso is better, though. Funnier. You literally said maybe try for sale by owner. You said owner financed. I gotcha. I should have put it together, but you know. You want to know what grows faster than grass? You talk about watching grass grow. I'll tell you what grows way faster than grass. Okay, not way, significantly, noticeably faster than grass. My nose hairs. Yeah. I just figured I'd share. If I didn't do anything about it, they would become part of my mustache. It's pretty disturbing idea. A nose stash. Could you imagine somebody having a clean lip, but it looks like they have a mustache because a waterfall of hair is coming out of their nose? I'm not particularly grossed out by that, but I can understand if that's a disturbing thought for you. I'm just imagining it very practically, you know, without any of the other thoughts somehow. I don't know. Compartmentalization. So my viewer count has been drastically lower, and it has to do with inconsistent timing, because I've been going to work and getting off of work at very inconsistent times. So I'm sure that has a lot to do with it, but I also wonder if it has anything to do with the stream quality. I was just wondering about that too. Just wondering. But then I go to watch my videos, and they're pretty clean. They don't jump around very much. The audio seems to be going through. What I noticed, however, the video and the audio seems out of sync a little bit. I don't know. Oh yeah, feeling. I know. Nose hairs are a real struggle for certain men. Ones that don't drink soy specifically. Non-soy drinking men. I did some long days. Today is just going to be 45 minutes early. I overslept. My alarm was on silent, so that was really effective. And I'm not complaining. Not upset about it. I didn't go, oh my gosh, let me rush. And that's why I'm thankful to have the schedule that I have for now, where I'm not obligated to come in until 8:30. And it's not mandatory overtime. It's it's beyond strongly encouraged. So they're strongly encouraged, and that's a thing. It's at a higher level than, you better not be turning right here. I don't know what you're doing, but let's get it. Go on, get. That's for Sepper Bear. What was I saying? Oh yeah, strongly encouraged. It's beyond that. It's social shaming, basically, if you don't work overtime. If you leave the team while they still have a bunch of work to do, it's like a walk of shame. So that's beyond strongly encouraged, in my opinion, when it starts turning to that level. But the way that I do it is I'm just like, listen, I'm putting in what I'm putting in. Deal with it. Basically. I mean, there's somebody that watches this stream that doesn't want to identify themselves for a reason. I find that interesting. I do. Because I have guesses as to who it might be. Yeah, I want to do a lot more streams from home. Recently, like when I'm waking up at 3:30 or 4 or whatever, by the time I get home, even if it's 6 o'clock when I'm getting home, all I can think of is either God calling me home, striking me, calling me up, into the air to not have to die, but just to go straight to heaven, or to like just be exploded by, I don't know, a meteor, something that's, instant and brutal. Or going to sleep, those are the two things that are on my mind after a long day of work. I'm like, God, just put me out of my misery, or just let me go to sleep. They're kind of extremes. Well, actually, going to sleep, I guess, is not really an extreme, unless I'm thinking about going to sleep at 7. But I never do that because I know what that results in. Just a shifting of the stuff, but yeah, when I have my days off, I have so many other things that I'm trying to do, but specifically, to be the most specific about that, is I do my best to be extremely intentional with my family, to give them face-to-face time, and to do my best to stay off of my phone and all that stuff. I'm not always successful, but I don't want to incorporate something in my schedule on my days off. So what I was doing was the Friday evening stream. I guess I'll go. I was doing the Friday evening stream, and I've just missed once or twice, so, but I still want to do the Friday thing. It's fun. Friday night hangout. Yeah. But I appreciate you. I told you I was going to get a sweater, and I did. So I've got the alpaca hair sweater, alpaca, and that is what I'm going to wear every time these psychopaths put it down to like 45 degrees in here, and my fingers are hurting because of the cold, and I'm not arthritic, you know what I mean? So I'm going to do the sweater thing, and it's cool because it buttons on, as opposed to having to pull something over my head and mess up my hair, because we can't be messing up the hair. Still, it's inconvenient. So the button thing, it's going to work just fine. Yeah, I'll just be like, hey, it's cold in here. I'm doing the Mr. Rogers. I'm doing my Mr. Rogers. Incidentally, or coincidentally, Mr. Rogers is my brother-in-law. Just different pigmentation. But he was a Marine, and yeah, he just, well, I don't, what was the other Mr. Rogers, the white one? Was he Army? I don't know. Doesn't matter. All right, everybody have a great day. Read the Bible and ask God for understanding, to give you, to help you understand the Word, and to us learn and seek it out more and more. Let's see. Today is Friday. I'll be doing one tonight. No matter what. I'll be doing a stream tonight. Alright, not no matter what. Most likely. What is it? Deus Vult? if God wills.